All right, students. This is the third time I have recorded a video. The first two, I can't get the audio through. So I had to remove my headset and try this route this time. I'll work at improving it. I don't know if this impacted any other videos. This is the first time I really tried to watch one back, and I saw that, so I apologize if you never got any of my lessons in the other one. I've been trying to really break this stuff down for you, make it easier to digest. So you'll see here I've already tested it out, ran it. Uh, I had multiple issues. I'll try and talk you through my issues so you don't run through the same thing. So kicking off lab 518, lab swapping variables. You write a program who takes two inputs and see how they're spaced on top of each other. So two inputs and produce singular output. And you have a nice pretty space here. So that is an issue on one of my attempts. Totally forgot that space that they were trying to show. So your program must define and call a follow function, swap values, return the two values in swapped order. So here they give you the name, handy of them, to give you the name of the function. So what does a function do? You create a small snippet of code that can be called with just the name, so swap values, and be ran over and over. So now we're going to design a code that swaps that value. And how to best do that, I mean, that's up to you on different ways, but the easiest is to essentially take an input and swap it with another one. And the easiest way to do that is to make a temporary placeholder, essentially, uh, and attach your inputs to it. Sorry, when I talk, I mess myself up writing code. So we're taking our temp placeholder and we're attaching whatever the user val 1 is. It'll be held in temp. So they'll both have it at the same time. And then we're going to overwrite our user val 1 with whatever's in user val 2. So now 1, the container 1 is holding what number was stored in 2. So theoretically at this point, 1 and 2 would be the same and temp would be the only one different. And then we're going to take our user val 2, and then this is why we created that temp placeholder for a number. And we're going to then take temp, and it'll be held within that one. So here you have temp holds it, so 1 and temp are equal. 1 then gets overridden by 2, so 1 is holding 2, and 2 is equal at this point. And then 2 is overridden by temp. So now 1 is 2 and 2 is 1. So you're going to define the following function and return. So we got to close this out with our return statement. Essentially, your return is to end the execution of that function, right? Boom. Process the code, it gives you the output, and it ends it. So it's the execution of the code and essentially the last whatever you want to display to the user. Alright, so return and execute on user 1, user 2, or user val. So now you have your conditional part of the program that's running. If blah blah blah. So here, what is the name and main doing? It pulls and executes a function, and it's looking either inside the program or outside the programs. You know, and if it's outside the program, you have to really specify where it's at. So this would, we're gonna pull our function built right into our one program here. The interpreter will know that. So again, how do we start any program? Well, we need to define our inputs, and our inputs are going to be user values. So We're going to set this to an int, whole numbers. Make sure the user can't put anything else and screw your program up and break it. So set to a user input int. Alright, next is going to be our operation. And what are we doing for an operation? We're looking to get the swapped outputs, right? So that's our operation. Take those inputs, swap them out as outputs, and we're going to do that by our function that we're defining. So we need to establish variables for our outputs. And here's where we're going to call our swap values function on, and this is what screwed me up last time. Last time I threw in user val, right? No, that's what broke me for like 10 minutes, and I had to make a whole nother video. You're going to throw it on your inputs, what the user is inputting, and then you're running that code on those inputs, right? So it's very important that what you're getting is the user input. Alright, so now we have our operation, take the user input, swap the values using the function, and spit out an output, 1 and 2. Alright, I want to show you, I'm going to break this code, and I'll show you why, so we can talk about it. Some of the funnest thing with coding is intentionally breaking your code to just see what happens, right? Remember that space, that pain in my butt space. Boom, closed. Alright, yes, this will intentionally break it, but we'll talk about it. Close, but no cigar. So you see here at line 12, it broke our code. Here's the code it tried to run, unsupported operational types. And essentially it's telling you int and string. So what did we run? We ran int. And we have ints up here. However, when we threw the space in, that is not a whole number. So it has to account for everything. So we have to convert our output to a string. Alright, 10 out of 10. We got code. The only last thing I want to cover with you real quick, your next lab is essentially processing money, right? So I think it's a good one to explain how and why you would use functions, right? How and why would I use functions? Well, just think about, the cash register attendant. You're at the grocery store and you're paying for your groceries and you hand her a bunch of money. Here's $300 for the grocery bill. And she needs that output of how much to give you back. She inputs, you gave her $300 cash, and here's how much she's supposed to give you back, right? More advanced systems may even call out the exact change that they got to provide, quarters and pennies, or from what I see from most people that I've had issues with at the register, they could really use it, right? But how would you do that customer after customer after customer after customer? You would have the same code, right? Your code would be just set up to take an input and give you that output of what they're, run through a conditional loop, figure out what change would be by doing your math, dividing what $1 is, dividing what a quarter is, and giving what that output would be over and over and over. And it would be the same conditional loop running the same function formula you built. So I hope that helps this week, everybody. And I apologize if any of my other videos don't have audio. I've really been trying to break this stuff down for you, and now I feel like a total idiot. So thank you. Bye.